Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we are going to be making my favorite beet salad. Not mine, Vivian Howard's. I haven't tried this yet, I don't think. I don't remember if we've made this previously. I know we have made the roasted beets before because I think we made them for a different recipe, but that was not for the book. Anyway, so we're working out of Deep Run Roots and we're making my favorite beet salad. Beet salad is one of my husband's absolute favorite things to order at a restaurant. He loves the beets. I love beets. Kids hate them. So it'll probably be mostly for us. But the good thing about this beet salad for us is that it includes blue cheese instead of goat cheese, which is generally what a restaurant puts in their beet salad, which makes me love it. My husband will eat it when it's in a beet salad, but it's not his favorite thing. Anyway. So what we have to do right now is to make the dressing for this beet salad, and it's one of those dressings that kind of goes on the bottom and you dip your pieces into it. And it's a blue cheese dressing. So in my food processor, I'm going to add the blue cheese. I've already weighed it out, and buttermilk. And that is all for this stage. Now I'm going to have to stop and scrape it down and stop and scrape it down a lot until this gets smooth. So, and it's loud so I can't talk to you. All right, whew, that went everywhere, as you can see, but it's not anywhere near smooth yet. With the feta, whipped feta that we made recently, I was skeptical that it would get creamy, but it worked just fine. So hoping this one does as well. So we're just gonna keep doing this over and over and over again. So it's closer to when we want to eat, but this still needs to sit for at least 30 minutes when we're done here. So we're not quite ready to finish the dressing, but we're going to get our beets marinating. Now this is the basic roasted beets. It is the measured amount for this recipe, and I'm going to add a bunch of things to it to marinate. So I've got rosemary here that I've chopped finely, fresh rosemary. And I need to zest one of my oranges. I normally would do this beforehand, but you know, we're kind of scrambling today. We've got another recipe going at the same time in the oven. So we're doing what we can right now. So that was the zest of one orange there. We need some honey. I'm measuring it correctly this time. I'm still using the same thing, but got a little honey bear here. So now I'm going to so I've got our rosemary, orange zest. I need to put some salt. Oops. Need a little bit of salt in here. These were already salted and had some lemon juice and some sugar in them, but we're going to put a little bit more salt. And then a little bit of black pepper. And, okay, the only thing I need now is some, it's supposed to be aged balsamic vinegar. I don't know, it's balsamic vinegar I got from our regular grocery store. It's what I usually use, so it's fine. There we go. So, now I'm going to mix this up a little bit, but the next part we do over top of these beets. So that's interesting. I'm going to need a bowl to put my oranges in. All right. So I've got the orange that I zested, and now she doesn't describe this technique. She just tells you to supreme the oranges over the bowl. Now, luckily, I know exactly how to do that because I have done that previously. But the first thing we need to do is to peel them, and you don't want any of the white stuff here, so I might lose a little bit more of the orange than you would if you just peeled it, you know, like you're going to eat it. But the goal here is to get the pretty sections of the orange without any of the membrane. So we're going to do this over the bowl, but I'm going to put the supremes here. So any of the juice that comes out is going to go into the bowl with the beets. So this is actually really easy, but it seems more difficult than it is. But so you can see the membranes running here, and you put your knife through kind of to the middle on the membrane, and then out comes that beautiful section. And you do that again. Got a little bit, there we go. And out comes the beautiful section. Now these are not seedless oranges, so I will probably have to go back in and take some of the seeds out, but that's okay. So now I'm just gonna do the very same thing with the other orange, and then sort of toss it all together and let it sit. And that's it. And we'll be back to show you how to finish the dressing for this in just a moment. So it's time to finish our dressing for our beet salad. And I have some heavy cream here and a bowl, and I'm gonna whip the cream by hand. It's just a small amount of cream. It would probably be harder to do it in a mixer, and she says it takes longer to clean the mixer than it does to basically do this by hand. So I'm gonna try to do this by hand, by myself. If not, I will call on my producer for help. My bowl has been in the refrigerator. My cream is cold, and that will help it to whip better. Yeah, this is stiff peaks. So we're gonna stop here before we make butter. Okay, so now we're gonna fold the cheese and buttermilk mixture into the heavy cream mixture. I've had this out at room temperature for a little while just so it would be a little more pliable. It gets kind of thick, I think, at refrigerator temperature. Very messy, sorry. All right, so just fold. She says to do this as close to serving it as possible to keep as much air as you can in the dressing. But that is it for our dressing. I think that is pretty well combined. And next, we're going to put the salad together as sort of a composed salad. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Back in 1 second, I gotta clean up a little bit and get a serving dish. So I have all of the pieces and parts of my salad to put together here. We have our beets that have been marinating, and I just sort of stirred them around as I thought about it, just to make sure they all get marinated well. We have our orange supremes, whatever you want to call them. We have our buttermilk blue cheese dressing, and this is something we haven't talked about yet. These are salt and butter roasted pecans. I'll put a link up here. We've already made these for the channel, and you're just using these as sort of a garnish on this salad. So we made these earlier today and just put them in the bag, and so we will put a few on here. There's a particular amount for the whole recipe, but we're probably not gonna plate up the whole recipe at this point, just because I'm just gonna put on what I think looks good for basically my husband and I to eat because the kids are not huge fans of beets, or blue cheese, but that's all right. So I'm going to start with some dressing and sort of move it around the plate, give it a base of dressing. So this isn't a dressing that you put on top. This is a dressing that you kind of drag your bits and bites through. I think that's fine. I think this makes more than it calls for in the recipe for this particular salad. So you can use this for whatever. Like I said, it will lose some of the fluffiness later, but it'll still be delicious. And now I'm just gonna put some of these beets around the plate, kind of like there is in the picture, choosing kind of the prettier ones. On top of this dressing. To tell you the truth, we will probably eat more of this later in a not so beautiful fashion. But we're gonna make this as pretty as we can for right now. Just trying to choose pretty ones. And maybe one more pretty wedge. There we go. We're gonna put a little bit of the marinade on the outside. I'm gonna put some of these orange supremes, however you'd like to say it, on the plate. So I think this salad probably, if you make all of it, serves about 4. But like I said, it's mostly gonna be 2 of us eating. I think one more little one right here. There we go. And then just some pecans on top. Oh, and there's one more step after that. Just one second. But I'm gonna sort of make sure these are kind of bite size on top. We had to make these fresh because they do not last long in my house. In fact, the cameraman is asking for a snack right now. A couple more maybe. All right, I think that will do for this plate. And the last thing that we add to the plate is a little bit of olive oil to finish. So there we go. That's the dish. We'll let you know what we think of it in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make my favorite beet salad from Vivian Howard's Deep Run Roots cookbook. Now it is, I wouldn't say it's a hard recipe. It does require 2 previous recipes in the book that we have made videos on for this channel. It required the salt and butter roasted pecans. Those are super simple and a crowd pleaser in our house. So it's never bad for us to have extra. And the basic roasted beets from the previous recipe, previous video. I'll link both of those below and maybe up here somewhere. That was also really easy, not a problem. It does require a food processor for the blue cheese dressing, the buttermilk blue cheese dressing. So the dressing is a little bit complicated. You have to whip the cream, and then you mix up the blue cheese with some stuff in the food processor, and then you mix those together. So that's a little bit of a pain. It's fine even when it's not as fluffy afterwards. And then there's the slightly more difficult making supremes of the oranges. It'll still taste good if you don't want to do that part. It'll taste just fine. You'll just have a little bit more of the membranes to chew. Up to you whether that bothers you. And I don't find it that difficult. It was actually a lot easier. The first time I did it, I was like, that looks hard, but it's not that difficult. So if you've never done it, you should try it. Now we really enjoyed this recipe, but we do enjoy a beet salad, which usually comes with goat cheese, which I really love. My husband does not love goat cheese. He will eat it up with a beet salad, but he much prefers blue cheese. So this was definitely something that he enjoyed a lot. Kids weren't super fans. They don't really enjoy blue cheese. They don't really enjoy beets, but if you like those things, you should make this recipe. It's sort of a perfect beet salad in our opinion. So if you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe and come back and watch me make something else. And let me know if you do try this and what you think. Thanks for watching.